Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's 1 Million by 1 Million Strategy Roundtable for Entrepreneurs. 1M by 1M, as you know, is the first and only global virtual accelerator in the world. Our mission is to help 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million and beyond in annual revenue. In support of that mission, these free mentoring roundtables have been happening for over 10 years. This is the 418th session, and we've had over 100,000 people participate in these. The event is being recorded. You will have a recording available at our YouTube channel, 1M1M Roundtables, and also on the blog. All prior recordings of prior sessions are available at the YouTube channel as well. So by all means, go check those out. If you're looking for, things you can listen to while commuting or any of those kinds of modes where you have dead time that you would like to fill out with some worthwhile material. These are great interviews and conversations to listen to. If you are live tweeting the show today, please use hashtag 1M1M and join us on Twitter at 1M by 1M or at Shromana. Either channel is fine. We publish a lot of interesting educational, inspirational, informational content through those channels. Very rich, content-rich channel. These are the call-in instructions. This is a round table, not a broadcast. So we are going to chat with you. I'll open up the line for you to call in and discuss whatever it is that you want to discuss, whatever is on your mind, a little bit later. We have a guest before, but before I go to our special guest today, I want to announce something that we kicked off yesterday. We have a great partnership that has come together with European Institute of Innovation and Technology and their digital health arm. And through this partnership, 115 European startups, healthcare IT startups, digital health startups are going to be part of the 1M by 1M acceleration program. So we're very excited to welcome the European Health Catapult semifinalists. All 12 semifinalists are part of the program now. And also 3 of last year's finalists are part of the program. And then the other 100 are going to be announced shortly. They're going through a selection process, and that's going to be announced shortly. So this is a very exciting European partnership that we are bringing on board, and one of many more, I'm sure. We're excited about what's happening in Europe, and look forward to working with all of you who are going to be coming in through this program. So the names of the 15 that have been awarded premium scholarships are Consens Data, Dr. Omnibus, FeedMe, iBrev, Kinesis Health Technologies, MindPax, Minity, MyBase Pair, NeuroPsyCAD, Sleepiz, WeFight, Yapili, FibriCheck by Compiam, Complex Disease Detector by Hippogriff, and Havantis Medical Imaging. The first 12 are the semifinalists from the Catapult yesterday, and then the last 3 are the finalists, are the winners actually of the Catapult from last year. So these are, we're going to talk more about these companies in a blog post shortly. We will introduce our community to these entrepreneurs shortly, and it's just thrilling to have you all in the program. So the first segment of today's show is going to be a conversation with Shuly Galili, founding partner at UpWest Labs. Shuly, welcome to the show. It's great to have you.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Good morning. So tell us a little bit about yourself as well as UpWest Labs. Introduce our audience to your work.
Thank you so much. So I co-founded UpWest Labs 2012. So it's been almost 7 years. We've been really building a platform and a fund to invest and support very early stage pre-seed and seed founders, primarily out of Israel. We are based in Palo Alto, Silicon Valley, and have been so far invested in over 70 companies. And we're on our third fund, where we are heavily focused on several industries, but really because of the stage we invest, we are very, very founder focused and obviously market focused. It helps that we are here based in Silicon Valley, and we are obviously spending a lot of time in Israel on the ground as well. But we've kind of been the bridge for a lot of entrepreneurs who are looking to access the U.S. market as soon as possible. Before UpWest Labs, I ran the California-Israel Chamber of Commerce for 11 years. I started that in 2000, and that was kind of an industry icon association that served industry, primarily big companies that were looking for innovation outside of the U.S., and Israel was one of the places that they found a lot of that, as well as entrepreneurs programs that were really focused on accessing their U.S. market as soon as possible. So
how
this
big
is my background.
Yeah, great. How big is the fund, the third fund of UpWest now?
So we're managing about $30 million under management. The third fund is almost $20 million. So we started pretty small. Our first fund was $2 million. It was primarily an opportunity for us to really test and see how we can really build a very, very robust platform for founders who have, tremendous technical abilities and skills and huge vision, but their distance from the market really hinders them from really taking it to the next stage. So we really started very small, wanted to see if we really can, build this and scale this later on. And so this is what we've been doing for the last 7 years. And it's been really a great journey and huge privilege to be able to be part of it.
Now, how do you define pre-seed and how do you define seed? Because as you know, we are seeing a very big change in the early stage ecosystem these days, whereby there's a lot of fragmentation and segmentation going on in the pre-Series A stage of funding. So there is now pre-seed, seed, post-seed, pre-Series A,
post-seed,
small Series A, large Series A, etc. So how do you, in your definition, in your worldview, what is seed? What is pre-seed? What is seed?
I would say you're absolutely right. I mean, when I look at when we started and what was a normal seed round, and founders in 2012 raised $500,000 seed, and later on were able to then go on and raise institutional rounds from Silicon Valley VCs, and that was an A round. Today, obviously, the seed ballooned to $3 or $4 and sometimes $5 million. It's really a different landscape. For us, the way we look at it, we are, in 90% of the time, we are the first check in our companies. So when we find entrepreneurs, and we like to say, at a frighteningly early stage, meaning a lot of times it's the 2 founders or 3 founders, they have literally, a demo or a prototype of a product, and they are really seeking validation at that point from a first customer in order to understand really how and which direction they should be going about building this. So that's a pre-seed stage for sure. This is the first check into companies. Our average check is about $250, and it's really enough for them in order to be able to, leap across you know, the world, and come here to really understand what customer really will want to work with them on validation and help them in order to get to a proper seed round.
And so are they coming to you with just the concept? Are they coming to you with some idea about what customers are looking for? What tells you that yes, we want to give $250K to these two guys or these two girls?
So founders typically find us obviously through our network, and you know, for many of them, they understand that, you know, UpWest is the destination for them in order to have this kind of process of validation. What we look for is definitely founders with domain expertise, meaning that when they build something that is related to networking or to, you know, healthcare or to any kind of vertical, that they have that domain expertise and experience in building something related to the market they're trying to go after. It's important for us that they have some idea of their market, meaning, you know, which direction, which vertical they're going after, and, you know, maybe have an initial idea, an assumption about the problem they're trying to solve, but they not necessarily need to have all the answers for us. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times this is the process that we go through with them in order to find that design partner that helps them to really hone down on solving a particular problem for a customer and then building a proper product for that. So this is really what we're focusing on. So yes, focusing on very, very strong entrepreneurs with strong background and pretty big market, not necessarily needing to have, you know, the products already. In some cases, we did invest in founders who already had a couple of customers in Israel and were able to test it locally with some banks or some local enterprises. There are good things and bad things about that approach, in our opinion, because testing it in your local market doesn't necessarily mean it will work in your real market. But most of the time, most of the founders we've invested in really wanted the first customer to be, you know, in the real market, meaning the U.S. market.
And the 70 companies that you have invested in, what domain? What can you give us some examples of areas that you like to invest in?
Yes, definitely. So, you know, you look at Israel, obviously, you know, there are the things that you would typically expect out of Israel, and we know that Israel is very strong in enterprise and cybersecurity, particularly domains. So we do have invested in about 5 companies who build cybersecurity solutions. I would say probably one of the most advanced companies that in our portfolio is in cybersecurity company called SentinelOne in the endpoint security domain, and it's a company that is now close to 400 employees. You know, they had reached incredible scale worldwide in terms of customers and raised over $100 million already. So this is a company that the founders came out of Checkpoint. They really knew that they want to build the next generation of antiviruses, but they really did not want to wait until, you know, somebody locally will test it. And they came through us. They came with us to basically test it locally with some pretty big customers that are with them until today. And so they were able to then scale here in the U.S., leaving engineering in Tel Aviv. We've also, you know, looked at other areas where Israel is very, very strong, and you look at some deep technology areas. So we've invested in a company called Aerobotics. This is an autonomous drone technology company. And so if you look at the kind of like the platform of drones as a device or a machine that can collect tremendous amount of data, aerial data, using computer vision and AI in order to provide their customers then with the kind of insights that they don't currently have. So in 2015, we invested in aerobotics. Think of, at the time, that area of drone technology was pretty early in terms of commercialization. This month, actually, Aerobotics opened their Arizona headquarters. They are, really expanded now to many areas that are serving industrial players such as mining, homeland security, oil and gas, and have scaled tremendously their both customer side as well as their robust system that they've built. We've invested in other companies that are more SaaS and marketplace related, companies such as Honeybook that is serving the event planning industry. They're based out of San Francisco and Tel Aviv. And we primarily in the last few years, I would say, focused heavily on the AI side of things as well. So, so companies that are using AI to implement it in new industries and old industries as well. And so we're looking at companies who are doing predictions for smart cities in terms of congestions and accidents, as well as companies applying AI to more industrial side of things in order to predict downtime or production of both manufacturing or chemical and oil and gas companies. So it's pretty interesting to see the kind of broad and scope of things that we look at. We're very sector agnostic. We like to look at really a lot of wide range of things. We believe that, out of Israel, you see really a lot of diverse entrepreneurs who come with, really interesting backgrounds. Some of it is very technical. Some of it is not. But if you look, they're looking to really solve, big problems in huge markets. And this is where we like to, provide them kind of like their first start.
And it sounds like you're mostly doing B2B. Is that a reasonable point?
I would say that most of our companies are B2B. We do have a few companies that are more in the consumer side, most recently, in the esports domain. But I would say we've done mostly B2B in the last few years, yes.
Now, can you share a little bit of what's Israel's or the Israeli startup ecosystem's philosophy right now? Are you, with mostly your B2B companies, is the assumption always that U.S. is the market that you're going after, or you're going after other markets as well, like the European markets or the Asian markets?
So I would say that, European markets and Asian markets are always interesting and, becoming more and more relevant markets. But I think for a lot of Israeli companies, there are secondary and third markets to go after the U.S. The U.S. is always the kind of the first market. I think for 90% of the companies that we see, they're looking at a market that is, very large, very cohesive, and and much easier to access. For some companies, Europe is close and maybe a good place to start. From our experience, it's a good place to go after you've conquered kind of like the U.S. market.
Well, and I think the beauty of the U.S. market is the U.S. market knows how to buy early stage technology. And that is not necessarily true for, all the other markets we're talking about. They're learning. It's not like they don't know. They're learning, and some of them are interested. But the U.S. market is a lot more mature system of how to bring in early stage technology into their systems.
Absolutely. We see that we see that as well. I mean, the early adoption here of technology and customers that are open to try and to test new things and new innovation is really a tremendous asset for startups that are starting out and they want to, kind of navigate new areas and test their things. And I think, maybe for some companies, it's safe to start elsewhere. I could tell you that, aerobotics started in Australia because it has such big mining industry. So that was their first market where they were able to really, capture the attention of a lot of great customers. And then the U.S. obviously followed. But I think for most companies, primarily if you're building, enterprise or SaaS-related companies, then the U.S. is a really safe bet.
Well, and you mentioned cybersecurity. Israel has always had a long track record of cybersecurity startups, and it's a very active area. It has always been an active area. It's an extremely active area now. What are you seeing in your companies in terms of penetrating cybersecurity customers? Partly because from what I'm hearing from a lot of the larger buyers of cybersecurity is that they are overwhelmed by the number of vendors out there, and that's very tough to for small companies to penetrate that large number of vendors, the vendor selection process, and to actually get to the buyer in large enterprises. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge. I would tell you that I think in the last 2 years or 3 years, we've scaled back our cybersecurity investments for that reason. But we did invest recently in a very exciting company in cybersecurity that is kind of taking on a more kind of different approach, and they're super agile and very using autonomy and very I would say sophisticated way to approach customers and to get them on board. But I agree with you that in the last 3 years we've seen so many cybersecurity companies, and it was very hard to determine what will stick and what will not. And you see the overwhelmed CISOs in big companies that have to sift through many solutions. And I do question, how these companies are going to be able to scale, seeing that there's a lot of super competitive landscape out there.
Are you, as part of UpWest, is there a panel of CISOs who look at your companies?
Yes, we work with, I think we work with a lot of the industry, CISOs in both, here locally in Silicon Valley as well as across the U.S. And I think, their experience and they're so entrenched in understanding how to work with both ourselves and other players who have access to, funnel of solutions out of Israel. So we do have a lot of relationship in the ecosystem of both cyber, but not necessarily only that. I mean, we have companies that are building infrastructure technology not related to cyber in enterprises, and we've had great opportunity to work with the big players to be able to both advise and look at founders at the early stages in order to kind of guide them into, what it is that they need to do long term in order to build a really great solution for enterprise.
And you mentioned your investments in AI. Of course, everybody, all investors are reporting right now that they're interested in AI and are seeing great deal flow in AI. Could you give us a flavor of what are you seeing in the deal flow vis-a-vis AI? What kinds of companies are you seeing, and what kinds of companies attract you in the AI domain?
So I would tell you that I think for us particularly, we've had great success and great opportunity working with companies that are really looking at areas that have not yet touched by technology, and that where AI can really make a huge difference in terms of the amount of data that these industries already have. I mentioned manufacturing and mining and oil and gas, but I think that, if you look at ag tech, and if you look at, as I mentioned, smart cities and mobility, there is tremendous amount of data in these industries, and we've kind of looked and seen companies coming out of Israel, particularly, and entrepreneurs who are unfazed by approaching industries like that, which you really need to understand. How do you get in there? How do you sell to these old industries? How do you really create a champion internally that will able to then adopt, kind of a very early and very new technology that they haven't seen, in many years, and provide the data in order to, create a really sophisticated output for them. So, I mentioned that, one of our companies, Waycare, it's a team of data scientists, and they looked at all the data that cities are coming up with. So cities have tremendous data on transportation and on traffic with regards to, previous accidents that happen and traffic congestions that happen historically. And then there is so much data that comes out of the vehicles today because of, the technology that they are built inside. And so Waycare is able to take technologies from the vehicles through partnerships with companies like Waze and other companies, as well as data from the city, and combine that in order to then provide predicted, solution for the cities and where accidents are going to happen in the next few hours, and how to deploy, therefore, their highway patrol and other resources in the city in order to prevent all of these congestions from happening. And it's very interesting to see them actually live working today in Nevada and in other states. And it's great to see that cities are really opening up to adapting technologies like that. And so this is, and yes.
One of my observations is that this hotshot machine learning engineer from Technion doesn't always have the domain knowledge with which to bring AI into a particular industry sector, whether it's insurance or retail or fashion or aeronautics or whatever. There is a domain bridging that needs to happen. So when people think that, okay, I'm going to go into such and such domain and upend everything that's going on in that domain by applying machine learning, I think it would be very helpful for them to go recruit somebody who's a domain expert in that domain, one or two people who can really help them understand what happens in that domain, what are the workflows, what are the problems, and how to sell into that domain, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so if you see, a lot of AI companies that are, I think, popping everywhere outside of Silicon Valley, I think it's very, very healthy. And when I mentioned, aerobotics going into the mining business, and
completely different workflow.
How do you really, go into an industry like that? Don't forget that a lot of Israeli founders, although, they came out from great educational background, they spent sometimes 3, 4, 5, even 10 years building systems for the Israeli military. Right. So they had very hands-on approach, working with very sophisticated systems in the field, in conditions that are not necessarily lab conditions, but they're very, harsh conditions. And I think because of that, for them to go into, areas in that are, for oil refineries or mining or farming, is not really, a scary thing for them. And so therefore, they are really looking to go into areas like that. And I think that's where the opportunity is in the future in these industries.
On that note, thank you, Shuly. Great conversation. Thank you for sharing the details of what you're seeing. Thank you for spending the time with us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, and keep up the great work. I love what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Folks, we're going to go to the entrepreneur pitch portion of the conversation today. Just a bit of expectation setting. This is a safe working session. You can bring whatever it is that you're struggling with, whatever roadblocks you're facing, to come discuss. We have no other agenda but to help you move forward. There's absolutely nothing else that we're trying to do besides helping accelerate your journey. It is possible that you might disagree with the feedback you hear today. That's okay. This is your venture. You are going to determine what strategy you're going to follow. The only thing I would say is listen to the feedback you get, because the feedback is thoughtful feedback based on a pretty significant amount of experience and pattern matching. We have had tons of entrepreneurs come through this program, and we know we have case studies, we know what works, we know what doesn't work, and then when you make contrarian bets, you're aware of what kind of contrarian bets you're making. One contrarian bet that usually doesn't work is that, if you blindly chase financing, that's not going to work. Not all businesses can raise money, not all businesses should raise money, and raising money doesn't guarantee success. So that's just something that you have to keep in mind. We're going to start with Balaji Renukumar from Sensfix. Balaji, please unmute your line and tell us what you're working on.
Hi, this is Balaji joining in from Palo Alto.
Hello.
Hi, Shramana. I have met you a couple of years ago in India while you were launching this initiative, I presume, in the year 2012 or something. You might not remember.
That was 8 years ago. No, I mean.
8 years ago. Okay. Yeah, so.
And you've since moved to California?
No, I've been living in Germany. I was visiting India when I met you. Now the company was started because we went into an accelerator in Amsterdam, and then we won a global competition, and we were picked up as one of the cohort members for a program in Palo Alto. So that's why we are here, and now we have moved our company here. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, let's hear what you're doing.
So we are building Sensfix. We are bringing a new category into the market. We call it machine to service, which is about fully automated workflows in infrastructure asset repair and maintenance. How do we navigate? I tell you. Yeah. Okay. So we are very passionate and international founding team behind this. So myself and my CTO, we are the graduates of IIT, the Indian Institute of Technologies. And then I have Henk de Harto, who is a Dutch national. We all bring in more than 80 years of asset management. When I know the physical asset repair and maintenance experience with us. Then we have Dr. Ralf Werner, who is a German national, who has been the CEO of eBay Germany, and he's a consultant to the Deutsche Telekom CEO. So our founding team is rich in business development experience. So we have multiple traction interests on day one. Next slide, please. So we are addressing the pain point of a typical client who is this, say, let's talk about an infrastructure asset manager in a bigger company dealing with infrastructure, who deal with assets like street lights, managing buildings and various other assets in the gas distribution industry and so on. Okay, so his pain point is, in spite of doing his work, there is, for example, 15% failure rate in streetlight repairs, even after performing the job. Next, please. And more than 3/4 of the time goes. So would you go to the next slide? I think I have some slides. So I will just say next, right?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So more than 3/4 of the time spent goes just to diagnose what is wrong in a building. So buildings have something called building management system software for control and operations. In spite of that, on an average, 75% of the time spent by the repair and all the service personnel is getting into the diagnosis part. Next, please. So the problem here is that the infrastructure asset manager, who is very central to this repair and maintenance ecosystem, he is answerable to all these stakeholders, all the service personnel on the ground, the asset owner, the authorities, and there is an operational layer where he has to manage all these stakeholders, and this operational layer on a day-to-day basis is run intensively using Microsoft Excel and phone calls. That makes it a little bit inefficient. And then we have seen this IoT implementation, the Internet of Things, all these sensors, to collect huge amounts of data from all sorts of machines and assets and analyze them and then produce the relevant KPIs which enable the asset manager and other stakeholders to make quick and efficient decisions. So, but these two layers are separated and they're not integrated deeply with each other, and that is the point which leads to this inefficiency. And increasingly more, as of this year, 23 billion devices are actually connected. So more and more devices are getting connected to the internet as we speak. That even amplifies the problem. Next, please. So what we have done is, Sensfix is building an automated service hailing app for the machines. So I, as an asset owner, will get a notification from one of my assets. It could be my air conditioner, or it could be my, some small temperature sensor, or my motor, which self-predicts that it's going to fail. Because of the IoT data, we can do predictive maintenance in 2 weeks. And then it sends me a notification, I'm going to fail in 2 weeks. And I have found this repair guy who lives 2 kilometers close to you. He can come on this day at this time and repair for this price. So this is what we have built. So I, as the owner, can say yes. If not, then it will send another notification. What we are doing is from the moment a problem has occurred or an asset has self-predicted its failure, until the moment the relevant service person arrives on the spot. Everything that's happening in between these two time intervals is fully automated. The part of the detection and the discovery of the service and then planning the repairs. And by automating this, we have shown there is 18% savings in money in building repairs and up to 30% savings in the repairs of streetlights by doing proof of concept in India and then the Netherlands and now in the US.
Okay.
Next, please. So this is how the app looks like. So it's a collaborative chat window, like a Slack channel for all the stakeholders, including the asset. So every stakeholder can talk to the asset, and asset will reply. And you can do audio calls, video calls. So we store the data of that repair transaction. And another beautiful thing here is we store this collaborative, the workflow data on blockchain, because all citizens actually can query, all the service people and the asset owner can instantaneously go and trace the transaction history between two time intervals. What happened? When did the machine report something, and when did somebody else act something? So it should be an immutable history, and that's why we are storing it on blockchain. Next, please. I think we can leave this. Next, please. Yeah. So we have an approximate serviceable market size of $4 billion, which is growing 40 to 60% year on year as increasingly more and more devices get connected to the internet. Next, please.
Balaji, have you done a bottom-up TAM analysis? This looks like a top-down TAM. Have you done a bottom-up?
What do you exactly mean by that? I don't understand the term.
You need to learn what a bottom-up TAM analysis is. That's one of the take that away as one of the action items out of this. Investors don't like to look at top-down TAM analysis. They need a bottom-up TAM analysis. So that's something you're going to need to learn. But keep going.
Okay. Okay. So the value that we are bringing is the quickest response for the machines that's available out there. And we fully automate the workflow, as I explained, eliminating telephone and Microsoft Excel and all these legacy tool things. And then market data also says 99% of the repairs are done successfully on the second visit. So we enable full repairs on the first visit, because in addition to self-diagnosing, the asset will say what accessories and equipments are required, and it will find the nearest guy who has them. So we are doing our POCs, and we have won few customers in smart city, smart buildings area. In smart buildings, we are exponentially growing in the last few months. So these are the few POC customers in the US and India and the Netherlands.
Do you have to go to market through agencies or through companies that are working in smart cities and smart buildings, or are you going and selling directly to the CIOs of the cities?
Smart city is a very small segment. There are few smart cities here and there in any country, in every country. So we are participating in the smart city programs. I think there are well-developed procurement channels for startups to enter the smart city programs wherever we are operating. But for the smart building segment, we are official repair and maintenance partner for these so-called wireless alliances, which is a global distribution for us. So we are partnering with this association, which brings in all gadget manufacturers under one umbrella for interoperability of wireless protocols, and through that alliance we have a distribution channel into any building. So, say for example, with one contract signed, we had access to 1,200 buildings in India, and similarly with another contract we had access to over 5,000 buildings between Europe and the Americas.
So what does it take for you to actually be deployed? So you sign a contract with these kinds of umbrella contracts. What does it take for you to be deployed? And what does it take for you to be paid?
So we are an app and cloud platform, so we just have to match our web service and APIs with the APIs of the building management system software, and that's a few minutes to few hours job. And then once they are matched, all the data is coming to our cloud, and then we deploy. We give logins and passwords to all the users, for service fleet and the asset owner and the asset manager.
So right now your product has been deployed in these thousands of buildings?
Has been deployed on a POC stage. So we are going to roll out commercially anywhere from January next year until July next year. So right now we are all finishing the POCs, because they are all asset management contracts which are for multiple years. Also the deals are it could be a few 100,000 to multi-million. So the POCs take 3 months to 6 months. Yeah. So the business model is pretty simple. It's a SaaS model where we charge, depending on the asset, anywhere between $1,200 per asset per year up to $150,000 per asset per year. There are some heavy assets like the city gas distribution, an airport, and a complete, say for example, the metro station, railway station. So all these things are upcoming. So and we can also sell here and make some margin on the hardware if we are selling in addition to our software platform, some hardware where we have a profit margin of 10 to 15%. And there can be further, of course, monetization, because we are collecting the data for every repair transaction, so which is the asset health, and this can be monetized with insurance companies later. And commercially, our USP is this collaborative workflows. If you think of SAP is not selling only the software, but they also sell the business process workflows. So we are now, for the first time, coming up with IoT-enabled workflows, which can be sold along with our platform. So in the competition, there is nobody doing fully automated repair scheduling. So there are all these companies like IBM Maximo, ServiceMax. They are good in IoT. They have implemented predictive maintenance. They manage the service fleet. So we are the only one out there who is fully automating the repair scheduling. So you remember that part from detection until the the moment the repair guy arrives on the spot. So our differentiators are clearly the integration of predictive maintenance directly into the workflow, and then transparency of automated decision making to all stakeholders because we are storing it on immutable blockchain. Next, please. Yeah, I think we can. There is a social impact here, which is because in the smart city project,
on building a business right now. Building a business has enough social impact.
Okay. So we are funded right now by accelerators. So currently we are fundraising a seed round of 2 million, out of which we have raised 100K so far, which brings us to a 15-month runaway until March 2020. So we are working on 2 big contracts with an Indian construction group and then another Dutch company for bank ATMs, which could result in 20 million revenue by I think the mid of next year. And so this is roughly the go-to-market has been for us so far in the building segment easy because of the global distribution channels through the partnerships with these alliances. The smart city is picking up. I don't think anywhere in the world smart city is really picking up commercially. There are all these demos and then proof of concepts going on, and a really viable business model are yet to arrive. But we have positioned ourselves in the smart city segment in the Netherlands, in India, and of course yet to do in the US. Next, please.
So what is the configuration of the company? How many people are in the company and where are they located?
The company is about 14 FTEs. We are 4 co-founders, and there are about 10 full-time employees sitting in India in the city of Mysore, and about 3 full-time people. We have an office in Arnhem in the Netherlands, and then I am here, and then there are 2 part-timers here in Palo Alto. So we were registered in Amsterdam as a company because we were selected in this program for the scale-up program, accelerated program in Palo Alto. So we are moving our headquarters here.
Okay. So the presentation needs to be kind of structured as an investor pitch, and that needs some work. I think what you have in here is very interesting and very exciting, but it's not packaged for investor consumption very well. For example, you are going to need to lay out your go-to-market in a much clearer way. You need to lay out your bottom-up TAM analysis in a much clearer way. And all these pieces, which are the pieces that drive what is the real business in the next 5 years, how do we go from 0 to 100 million in the next 5 to 7 years with this business, this story is not being told very well. I think you have the material, the goods with which to tell the story, but you need to learn how to tell the story.
Oh, wonderful. Maybe I need some help. I don't know. If not now, maybe.
You can use the program. You can use the 1M1M program to reconfigure your presentation in particular.
So you said bottom-up time analysis? What was that? It was called bottom-up time analysis?
Bottom-up TAM, total available market, yeah.
Okay, TAM. Got it. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, you can use the program, and we also have numerous investor relationships that once you're ready with that pitch, we can introduce you to lots of investors. Are you going to be located here after this acceleration program is over?
Yes. So you
will be raising funds as a U.S. company?
Yes. So we already have a U.S. company, which is a Delaware C Corp, and we also registered in the California. So we are through that.
In that case, if you decide that you want to work with 1Mby1M, we will help you put all this stuff together and introduce you to our network of investors. That is perfectly doable.
Oh, thank you for that. So I would then, what would be the next step?
You need to sign up for just hold on for a second. I will explain how to use 1Mby1M in like 2 minutes.
Okay.
So let's.
So I'm just saying there are many other assets which are actually in the pipeline. we are just focusing on streetlights and buildings, which is this is our strength so far of the co-founders. But having established the business, we see other assets also coming to the pipeline. I think this is the last slide.
And I think that's where you say buildings, so we need to understand how do you get into those buildings? How do you, and what is the TAM around buildings? How do you get into go to market to sell into the buildings? Streetlights, as you pointed out, smart city programs are all in pilot stages. They're not rolled out. So if you're trying to go into streetlight maintenance through smart city programs, how long does it take for those to become sizable contracts? So that's the story that, if I role play with you as an investor, that's what I don't understand from this presentation.
Got it. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Is Akhta Adani in the room? No. Okay. Well, Maureen, I think this person should not be given another shot at this. Because she's sending in slides and skipping the presentation and wasting a slot, and I do not like that at all. Okay, folks, I'm going to explain to you how to use 1 million by 1 million, and then we're going to switch to Q&A, open Q&A. And before I do that, if you like what we're doing here in 1 million by 1 million, please refer serious entrepreneurs into 1M by 1M. Serious is in bold. Why is the word serious is in bold? Because building a company is a many-year commitment. You're going to commit 5 to 10 years of your life to build something very serious and robust. And to do that, you have to be a very serious person who understands that you're making that kind of commitment. Businesses do not get built overnight. Companies do not get built and sold like, a little widget. It's a very involved process. It's very stressful. It really runs on your nerves. It will stretch your, composure to a great extent. It'll take patience, perseverance, resilience, all of those things. So be aware of what you're signing up for. And if you know people in your friends and family and colleagues and peer groups who are looking for help, who are people with that kind of mindset, we would love to work with them. So in terms of resources, you'll find everything at 1Mby1M.com. You'll find a blog that is available for free. If you follow the blog, you'll learn a lot. The Entrepreneur Journeys book series is a series of 12 books, all case study based, 12 to 16 case studies per book. Again, good learning resource. These roundtables happen every week. Great learning resource. Our full acceleration program, and Balaji, this is what you need to sign up for to access what you need to access. This is our 1 million by 1 million premium program. We offer you extensive methodology guidance. We have a full curriculum, online video lectures and case study based curriculum, full of case studies. And that's what the program has been built on, by using these case studies to derive a methodology. We do help you with business development where we have connections. We help you with strategy consulting, same format as what you're experiencing here. We have members-only roundtables on WebEx, and that's the primary channel of how we deliver the mentoring, the coaching, the strategy consulting, whatever you call it, but the project-based advising. We also help you with financing once you're ready. Once your pitch deck is ready, your strategy is ready, and you are able to hold a conversation with investors and be able to be in a defensible position where all the questions they're going to ask you, all the poking of the holes, you can defend all that and, stand your ground. We will introduce you to investors. You can go to the seed capital section of our blog. There are hundreds of investor interviews there, both in podcast format as well as text format and these kinds of roundtable formats. So there's a ton of financing related expertise and network within the program that you can access as by being a premium member. You can sign up for the premium program online, for actually all programs online. And we also help you with media relations. Social proof is an important part of establishing credibility both with customers and with investors. So we want you to be featured, and we help you do that. We feature you in our networks. We have a lot of clout in the media, so that's something you can access as well through the premium program. Go to the 1M self-assessment. You can access this for free on the blog. There's a set of questions. You're going to have to answer these questions in defining your strategy and building your pitch, investor pitch. Investors will ask you these questions. I want you to preempt that and ask these questions of yourselves and of your business so that you know how to answer these questions before you walk into any kind of investor interaction. 1M Basic is the curriculum-only option from 1M. So if you get stuck on methodology points, like if you don't know what bottom-up TAM analysis is, or if you don't know how to do positioning, if you don't know how to build a go-to-market strategy, and you're trying to answer these questions and getting stuck, a very easy way to plug those gaps is to sign up for 1M Basic and just study the 1M curriculum. It's an online curriculum. You can do it at your own pace, at your own time, from anywhere in the world. So go dig around on the website and see if this program is for you. There's tons of description of the premium, the basic, FAQs, video FAQs, a full description of the curriculum. This is a case study-based curriculum. As I said, we have over close to 875 case studies. And that includes 50-plus unicorn companies, 400-plus venture-funded companies, 350-plus bootstrap companies. So it's a very intense body of work. And all these people whom you encounter in these case studies are loosely affiliated with us. They have obviously taken the time to give us their perspectives based on which we've been able to create the methodology of this program. So you have access to all that. You do get to stand on the shoulders of giants who have achieved what you're trying to achieve, which is entrepreneurial success. Our methodology is lean, capital-efficient, bootstrap startups. So you have to bootstrap to validation. You do need to understand the market. You do need to have some customer input and some validation that customers want you, and then you can raise money. If you have enough TAM and you have enough validation, then you can raise money. If you can show velocity that you can build this business in a high-velocity format, you can absolutely raise money, and we'll help you do that. So that's pretty much it. Upcoming free roundtables, we have 2 more in October and 4 more in November until Thanksgiving, and then we break a little bit. I'm traveling after Thanksgiving for a bit, and then we have 1 more in December. So that's the roster for the rest of the year in terms of roundtables. Feel free to book your slot to pitch if you'd like to come and work with me in one of these working sessions. Rendezvous, these are in-person rendezvous in Menlo Park at Cafe Boroni. So we have 2 more in October. Well, we just had one yesterday. We have 1 more in October, on October 24th. And then we have 2 more in November and 1 more in December. So there are, another 4 roundtables this year. Rendezvous in this year, and where you can come and talk to me, discuss what you're struggling with, and we'll just dialogue, and I'll try to help you specific to your situation. And you'll meet other people as well. It's a good networking session. So when you get to Cafe Boroni, you basically need to look for me and the group. And sometimes we meet outside in the patio. Winter is coming, so gradually we're going to have to shift inside. The summer has been wonderful. We've had a chance to sit outside and enjoy the California weather and discuss technology startups. But soon that is no longer going to be possible because it's going to start raining in California. It rains in the winter in California, and so on and so forth. So we'll be meeting inside most likely going forward. All right, so we can take questions. If you want to dial in, follow these instructions on your slides, and you're welcome to dial in. Just let us know that you are dialing in and you would like to have a chat, okay? And then I will know to call for you. And while you're doing that, while you're lining up your questions, you can also ask questions in the public chat, by the way. Let me introduce you to Irina Patterson. If you have any questions about the 1M program, how to sign up, etc., whether it's a good fit for you or not, you can contact Irina at 1Mby1M.com. So Maureen, this slide needs to be edited a bit. They have changed the name of the company to Freshworks, and I think they've raised another large chunk of financing, and they're over $1 billion in valuation at this point. So this is a legitimate unicorn out of the program. So you need to update both here and on the website the details of their new status. Anybody, any other questions? Yes, no? If not, we will adjourn. By the way, folks, if you're local, one second, if you're local tonight, I'm giving a speech at the Machine Learning Meetup group, and the event is going to be at Intel. So, Maureen, if you could provide the details here, that would be great. Who's trying to talk in the call? Balaji, are you trying to say something? You're welcome to. Go ahead. We were able to. Right now I can't hear you, but go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Yeah,
yes, we can hear you.
So these slides that you showed, are they available? Because I could not make any note, or I couldn't even take a photo. So I mean, can you share these slides which you showed so that I can follow them?
You will have a recording of the whole session available on YouTube, so you can just go back and play and replay whatever you need to. This is why we provide recordings, so that people don't have to take notes.
Okay. So one very specific question, we are pretty new to the Silicon Valley. We were pulled here because we won this global competition. We have set up the company, and we have made some investor traction. And you mentioned, I think we would be happy to actually consider your premium program. And how fast can this process start and finish? So that we have some investor contacts made, and
that
I think
really
by
depends
November
on
28th.
you. We have you are going to need to do some amount of curriculum studying, and you're going to need to come talk to me at the private roundtables. The next week's private roundtable is on Monday evening, right, Maureen? It's a Monday roundtable, right? Next week at 6 p.m. on Monday the 15th.
Is it online or
online?
In person?
It's
okay,
online.
The private roundtables are online. Okay.
Private roundtables are all online. Every week there is one. So you basically come to these roundtables, get the feedback, get the guidance, and then you rework your pitch, and you come and iterate with me. You can do some. If you have questions, you can dialogue with me by email as well. So it really depends on you. How fast you can process the feedback that I will give you.
I mean, with your experience having helped so many startups, so the position where we are in right now, so is it few weeks or is it few months? Because we are already going to an accelerator where we are getting some other kind of assistance, and you really mentioned 2 or 3 very important points. I know our deck is not investor ready, but I assume it could be a week's job if I sit on it, of course,
if you
full time.
Do the work, I will be happy to give you the guidance that you need. But really, I don't really know you, so I have no idea what is the speed at which you're going to process my feedback. I will do on my side. I will give you what you need to do, and how fast you can make that converge is really up to you. But yes, I mean, if you put in the work, it's not rocket science,
Right. So if we sign up for this premium program, what is the frequency of talking to you? Is it are you available
every week?
all the
We
time?
have private roundtables. You can only
So
you
only
can talk
during
to me
that.
at any private roundtable. We have private roundtables every week.
Okay, got it.
Okay, and you can also dialogue with me by email.
By email, yeah. Okay, got it.
So if you sign up, let's say you sign up right now and you start the process on Mondays at Monday's roundtable. Before you go there, I'm going to give you a few pointers that before you meet me on Monday, I would like you to do a few things in the curriculum over the weekend.
Got it.
I would like you to go through the financing module. I would like you to go through the market sizing module. I would like you to go through the customer acquisition module. And I would like you to go through the positioning module. So this is a fair amount of curriculum material. You're going to have to devote a good number of hours to digest a significant amount of this curriculum material over the weekend. And if you can come prepared with all that on Monday, we can move much faster.
So come prepared, you mean also having modified our slide deck according to learnings from your modules, and then present you this slide deck?
Yes.
Okay. Got it.
So it really depends on how much you can do between this conversation and Monday evening 6 p.m. Pacific time conversation on how fast we can move. But you can. If you are willing to put in the work, we will be right there with you.
Got it. And I think here in the Silicon Valley, from November 20 until first week of Jan, everything kind of slows down, and that's not the right time to do investor activities, right?
No, I wouldn't say that. I mean, right now is actually a fine time to do investor activities. It depends on how fast you can get your slide deck ready to be sent out. I don't mind sending out your slide deck. But, I mean, if you get to Thanksgiving, I would say that is not a good time to start investor activities, new investor contacts. But now is okay. I mean, October, even early November, I'm happy to introduce you to investors. But if Thanksgiving comes around and you're not ready to be introduced to investors, that's when I would say, no, now we need to shift the introductions to January.
Okay, got it. Okay, so that helps. Thanks. Yeah.
You're very welcome. All right. Anybody else? Okay, folks. Then we will meet you, I guess the premium members who are on the call will meet you on Monday. And then the others, our next public roundtable is on October 17th. So that's Wednesday next week. And the next rendezvous is October 24th. That's also Wednesday. See you at one or both of the others. Bye-bye. Good luck with making lots of progress. Bye.
Bye-bye. Have a nice day. Bye.